Okay, so we are officially started. Hello and welcome to How to Fall in Love, Create Your Healthy Foundations. I'm Katherine Baldwin, and as I said, I am in Dorset on the south coast of England. I am a relationships coach, a love, dating and relationships coach. I'm the author of this book, How to Fall in Love, a 10-step journey to the heart. And I write about relationships and dating and love for the national media, including Psychologist magazine, and I've written for The Guardian and The Telegraph and other media. And I speak on these topics wherever possible. I also coach one-to-one and I run retreats and courses. So many of you know me already. For those of you who don't, I'll tell you a little bit more about my story shortly. So I'm just going to tell you how things are going to go today. So this is a webinar. If you need to get my attention, say something in the chat box. If you can't hear me for any reason, if you have a question, there will be a specific section for questions and answers at the end of the webinar. I'm going to talk about how to create your healthy foundations so that you can have a healthy and loving relationship. I'm going to talk for about 40 minutes, including talking about some of my journey and my story. I'll then tell you a little bit about some of the ways in which you can work with me. And then we'll have a Q&A for anyone who has questions. And to ask questions, you can type them in the chat box. You can also unmute yourself and speak. Be aware that this is being recorded. So if you don't want your voice recorded, then just be mindful of that. And then after the Q&A, there's a section where I'd really like you to invite you to ask deeper questions about the work that I do, about some of the things I have going on this year, and there'll be an opportunity to book a one-to-one discovery call with me for anyone who'd like to discuss where they're at in terms of this topic or midlife mentoring in general. So if you wait till I'll let you know towards the end how you can get in touch with me to arrange a discovery call over the next few days and week. So yeah, I should have said welcome to 2020 and welcome to the new decade. And yeah, I'd just like you to think for a moment. I'd like you to get centered, feel as grounded as possible, and connect with yourself and your feelings, and really understand for a moment why this topic in particular is important to you, why it's on your heart right now. So if you'd like to join me, I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes if it's safe to do so, if you're not traveling or in a dangerous situation. Close your eyes, get comfortable where you're sitting. I'm also going to close my eyes and tune in to your breath. So that means just become familiar with your breath. Notice where you feel the breath the most. It could be in your nose, in your mouth, in your chest, in your tummy. And follow that breath all the way in and all the way out. Feel yourself sinking into the moment, sinking into this webinar, sinking into your feelings, into your truth, into your heart. Try and let go of the day, of the rushing, of any worries. Try to be present. Honor yourself, value yourself enough to be as present as you can be during the next hour. So I'd like you to place your hand on your heart or on your chest, or wherever you feel most connected to yourself, to your truth, to your intuition. For me, I place my hands somewhere between my heart and my chest, stretching across that area, and I press it down gently. And I try to step inside, look inside. And as we do this, we find feelings, perhaps feelings we weren't aware of, perhaps feelings we've been running away from. The feelings might not come up in this moment, but the more often you do this, the more connected you will be to your feelings. And as you connect to your feelings, I think I'd like to invite you to think about this topic, about why you have come to this webinar, about why it's important to you to create healthy foundations for a healthy relationship. How much does it mean to you to make this area of your life work for you? How much does it mean to you to fulfill your dream in this area? How long have you been waiting? How frustrated are you? Just become aware of how you feel about this area of your life. Maybe there's sadness, disappointment, frustration, grief, loss, longing, yearning. Maybe you're already in a relationship, but you'd like to deepen that relationship, deepen that connection. Maybe you're aware that your connection to yourself is broken. So with whatever awareness you have found, I'd like you to take your focus back to your breath. And imagine your breath helping you to fulfill some of those dreams. So if you can picture something like a hot air balloon and the breath is breathing into it and bringing it to life. I often say that you have everything you need in order to fulfill your dreams. I am here to remind you of that. Perhaps to spark some new awarenesses, perhaps to guide you a little bit, but purely, most importantly, to remind you that you have everything within you to fulfill your dreams. So take 5 deep breaths. Follow the breath all the way in and all the way out. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. So if you have a pen and paper there, you might just want to jot down some of the feelings that came up. And if you'd like to, you might want to pop them in the chat box to me or to everyone. You can write to me privately or you can write to everyone. You might just want to say some of the feelings that came up and how you feel about the importance of this topic for you, this connection with yourself, so that you can have a happy and healthy relationship with yourself and with another. So yeah, feel free to drop anything in the chat box and I'll have a look in a moment. But for anyone who joined late, just a reminder of how this is going to work. I'm going to talk for the next 30 to 40 minutes about building our healthy foundations, building our connection to ourselves, deepening that so that we can then extend that connection to other people and have a healthy relationship. I'll talk a little bit about my story, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the things that I have on offer this year, just briefly, and then we'll have a Q&A. And then after that, those of you who would like to leave, you're very welcome to leave. Those of you who'd like to find out more about some of the things that I'm doing this year, and those of you who'd like to speak to me one-to-one, stay on and I'll show you how you can arrange a one-to-one call with me for half an hour, a discovery call, and we'll just talk about your challenges, some of the things that are going on for you, and whether I can help or whether I can point you in the direction of some help. So that's how it's going to work. This is also being recorded, so if you're worried about taking notes, or if you have to leave halfway through, don't worry about that. So many of you will know who I am, why I do this work. This idea of having a healthy foundation and being connected to ourselves, for me, there was no connection with myself from a very, very young age until my 30s, early to mid 30s. I was completely disconnected from myself. And that was because there were feelings going on inside that I didn't want to feel. Feelings of grief, of loss, of confusion, of disappointment, rejection, abandonment. These feelings that as a little girl, I didn't know how to handle. And whenever I talk about my story, I always say that I don't blame anyone. You know, we all do what we can with what we have at the time. So, you know, we receive from our parents what they are able to give to us. We receive from our caregivers what they received from theirs. So if we didn't have the most perfect of upbringings, that's because neither did our primary caregivers, and neither did theirs, and often this is generational. So there's no blame, but often we have to go through a process of forgiveness. But the most important thing is to understand and connect with ourselves, and to understand whether we have deliberately disconnected from our feelings, from painful feelings, and how that has impacted our relationships with other people. So my primary means of disconnecting from myself when I was younger were food and alcohol. Binge eating, sugar, toast, cake, and alcohol from the age of 14, binge drinking. Another means of disconnection that I chose and that worked really well for me, in fact it still does, is work. So compulsive work. Always being busy, always doing, always achieving. Partly I thought that that was the way to get love, the way to be accepted, but also it was a distraction from my true feelings. So, and it still happens to me today. And if some of you have followed me recently, you'll know that I have a lot of feelings going on right now. In fact, I've been very connected to my emotions today. So I might get emotional on this webinar because my mum is very unwell, so I have grief, and that grief triggers other griefs. So I'm thinking a lot about my dad who died 12 years ago. I'm thinking about the shortness of life. I'm thinking about my own life. So there's a lot of feelings going on for me. And you know what I do? I work to get away from them. And you might have noticed that I've got 4 webinars going on in January, and that's partly because I got really busy because I didn't want to feel my feelings, also because it's a great time of year to talk about these topics, and I have a lot to share, and my words for this year are share and stretch and share. So I'm going to be doing a lot of sharing, but also because I want to disconnect from myself. So what coping mechanisms do you use to disconnect from your feelings? How do you disconnect from your feelings? So I'm just going to read something very briefly from my book, How to Fall in Love. The lengths I went to in order to disconnect from my emotions were extreme, as I mentioned, but I wonder if my experience rings any bells for you. I wonder if your subconscious mind has sought out ways to keep you detached from your feelings, or to block you from having a deep, intimate relationship with yourself, and a result with a partner too. I wonder if you are eating on your emotions, drinking to excess, working around the clock, exercising compulsively, or keeping yourself so busy you don't have time to breathe or to cook. I know some of you are because we've met. My social circles are full of ambitious, high-achieving, successful and busy women and men. And why not? The opportunities were there for us and we jumped at them. Some of us determined to create better lives for ourselves than our parents had had. We excelled at our studies and in our careers. We worked hard, played hard and worked out with gusto. We kept our minds and bodies busy. I've since discovered that my busyness was an incredibly effective way to avoid my feelings and to ignore what was really going on inside. So I wonder if you can relate to that. I wonder if you use on things, if you are disconnected from yourself through eating, through drinking, through busy work, often through compulsively dating. So the highs and the lows that we get from dating, they can often disconnect us from our feelings. The adrenaline rushes. I'm a real adrenaline junkie, slowly healing from that, but I still am. So how do you disconnect from your feelings? Because this is really crucial. This connection to yourself is really crucial. So there's a reason why chapter 1 of my book is called Step Inside. And the first week, the first section of my How to Fall in Love course, which I'll talk about a bit later, is called Step Inside. It's about connecting to our feelings, understanding how we feel, not running away from our feelings. Because if we're not connected to ourselves, how can we connect to somebody else? And hand in hand with that goes the question of whether we are loving and accepting ourselves. So are you loving all of yourself? Probably not, because it's very difficult to love all of ourselves. Are you accepting all of yourself? Maybe not, because it's very difficult to accept all of ourselves. But that is another healthy foundation. Real self-love, and I know you're probably tired of hearing about self-love. Everyone's talking about it. But where can we go in a relationship? How can we love someone else if we don't love ourselves? How can we accept someone else if we don't accept ourselves? So if you're familiar with my story, you'll know that as I dated, as I entered into relationships, I would judge, I would criticize, I would find fault. I wouldn't accept that person for who he was. So my husband, my now husband, we've been married 6 months. He bore the brunt of this. I judged him on his career, on his appearance, on his clothes, on his car, on his flat, on his drive, on his ambition. I judged him on so many things because I didn't fully love and accept myself, and B, because I was looking for a way to push him away, because I was scared of relationship. I was scared of love. I was scared of loss. And you've probably seen that I have another 2 webinars coming up, but one is on fears and patterns. So we'll be delving into our fears in that webinar. But just to touch on that here, you know, if we are afraid of love, afraid of intimacy, afraid of commitment, if we're afraid of getting hurt, then we will find reasons not to date. We will find all manner of distractions to stop us from dating. Work is a great one. We will deliberately feel bad about ourselves by binge eating or overeating or over drinking, so we don't date. We'll find all these reasons why not to date. And then when we meet someone who is available and who wants to love us, we'll push them away. We'll sabotage, we'll find fault, we'll find reasons not to be with them because we're scared of hurting, of loving, of losing. And, you know, I really got in touch with some feelings today around my fear about losing my husband. I've only just found him. Well, I actually found him 8 years ago, but we've only been married 6 months. But, you know, I'm 48, he's 53. We're not spring chickens. And I really got in touch with some feelings today around losing him. And it was so frightening and so brought up so much grief for me. And I'm in touch with those feelings because I'm losing my mum, which puts me in touch with the fact that I've lost my dad. And then I get in touch with all the other potential losses. And, you know, if we paid attention to our fears and our anxieties and our worries, we would never do anything. And I think that's how I lived for much of my life, not in terms of how I lived my life. You know, I was a foreign correspondent. I traveled all over the world, war zones, tsunamis, terrorist attacks, prime ministers, VIPs. So I was brave on the outside, but when it came to relationships, I was absolutely terrified. Terrified of loving, terrified of losing, terrified of being hurt, abandoned, rejected. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about myself until I started exploring why none of my relationships were working out. Why was I always attracted to unavailable people? Why was I always attracted to men who couldn't meet my needs, who were afraid of commitment, who lived on a different continent, who were addicted to their work or alcohol or something else? So it was only when I really started looking at this that I understood that I was the common denominator in all my relationships and that I was afraid of love. Of course I'm afraid of love, because when I loved for the first time, my dad, he moved out, he divorced my mum, and then he died. So of course I'm afraid of love. But if we don't risk getting hurt, then we don't get the true miracles of life and the true joys of life. So, you know, so your healthy foundations of self-awareness, awareness of our feelings, so how we are feeling, awareness of all the things we have used in the past to escape our feelings, and awareness of how afraid we might be of loving, of losing, of being abandoned, of being rejected, and how that plays out in our lives. So I'm just going to give you 2 minutes, which isn't very much because it's a really big question, but to think about this. If you have a notebook, just jot down the ways in which you have escaped, run away from, numbed, distracted from your feelings in the past, and perhaps how you still do that today, and I still do through work. I'd like you to jot down how your fears have played out in your relationships. So whether you have sabotaged your relationships, whether you have pushed people away, whether you have found fault with people because you've been scared. So have a think about that. And also if you'd like to write something in the chat to everyone or to me privately, and it would be really helpful if you could just say hi, because I often worry halfway through my webinars as to whether anyone is still with me. So yeah, just say hi, and I'm just going to look at my notes before I move on, but take a moment to think about those questions. And I'm assuming you can all still see me and hear me. So I'm just going to check the time. So healthy foundations: self-love, self-care, awareness of self, connection to feelings, and awareness of how we push people away in our relationships, and awareness of how we find fault with others. And why do we need these healthy foundations? Well, without them, we are lost at sea. So I dated for several decades with unhealthy foundations. So what happens is I have a really, if you can imagine that my house is built on sand, it's really shaky. I don't have a strong sense of self. I don't have a strong sense of who I am in any relationship or who I am in general. I don't have strong self-esteem or self-confidence. I'm really shaky. And that means that I'll sway around in the wind. So I often use the image of a tree. So if you imagine a really thin, spindly tree with really shallow roots, thin branches, so it's not rooted, it's not grounded. And you know, that tree, if the wind comes, it will sway around and then it might fall over. So it will move in whatever direction. And when we go dating like that, when we look for a relationship like that, or even when we try and get a job like that or go to work like that, then we are at the mercy of other people's opinions about us, of other people's decisions. We get knocked sideways. We're not able to hold on to ourselves. So that means, for example, to give you some examples from my dating history, I remember dating a guy who was really into smoking dope. He wanted to stay in at night and smoke dope. I wasn't at all into smoking dope. It really wasn't for me. But I stayed in with him and I had a glass of wine and he smoked dope. But there was something amiss with that situation. That wasn't who I was. I wanted to be out socializing. I wanted to be dancing at the cinema. I wanted to be out doing stuff. But I allowed myself to be swayed by what he wanted to do because I didn't have a strong connection with myself, because I didn't have strong roots, because I didn't trust that if I expressed my opinion that he would stay. And also because I didn't think I was good enough, because I was craving love and affection. So you might have heard me say that when we go dating or looking for a relationship with a craving, it's like going supermarket shopping when we are starving. So we will just put anything in our basket. We won't be discerning. We won't pause. We won't look at the ingredients. We won't test whether that thing is good for us. We'll pick all manner of unhealthy things and we'll just take them in our basket and buy them without thinking. And, you know, in the age of internet dating and swiping and all those things, it's very easy to just choose someone and to go dating and to allow yourself to be chosen rather than to choose who you really want to be with. So this process is about choosing rather than being chosen. And that's something I talk about in all my coaching and in my courses. It's about choosing. It's about choosing. So you might be craving, you might have a deep craving and yearning for love, for affection, for affirmation. And that affects how you behave in relationships. It affects how you date. So do you have a deep craving? Do you have a deep yearning? Have a think about that for a moment. Are you craving love? Are you craving affection? Are you craving affirmation? And how does that play out in your relationships? Does that mean that you say yes when you mean no? Does that mean that you accept less than you deserve? Does that mean that you compromise yourself? Does that mean that you settle for something that isn't right for you? What does that do to you? What does that do? How does that drive your behavior in relationships? Do you have a craving? So have a think about that. You can take all these questions away and have a look at them afterwards. And if you'd like to delve deeper into any of these questions, I'll be talking in a moment about about my How to Fall in Love course, which really goes deep into this. I'm just going to adjust my light because I'm looking rather shiny. I'm not sure if that's any better. Anyway, let's switch that off. So yeah, so one thing I just want to mention now is the idea of having a secure base. So this is a term from psychotherapy. When we have a secure base when we are young, we are held by our caregivers. We are supported. We are mirrored. So they show us that they love us, that we are cherished, that we are wanted. So as a baby, the mother will show that by cooing and smiling and responding. But if our caregiver isn't able to connect to their feelings, isn't available to us, they won't be able to do that. And so we'll be left thinking there's something wrong with us because we're not able to follow that normal pattern of development. And when you have a secure base, you feel safe. So as a little toddler, you're in your secure base with your parents, and then you go toddling off. And you hit a wardrobe or a chair or a table and you fall over and it hurts and you cry, and your parent comes running up to you and scoops you up and takes you back to the secure base. Or you toddle back to the secure base and you're safe and you're wanted and you're reassured and you're affirmed. Now, if we grow up without that, then the whole world is a really scary place. We don't want to toddle off. We don't want to bump into furniture. We don't want to get hurt because we haven't got a secure base. We haven't got a safety net. We haven't got anyone supporting us. So we will often find unhealthy ways to shore us up. We'll look for our secure base in the wrong places. So for me, food, alcohol, achievement, status, work, all those things. That's what I looked for my secure base. I also looked for security in men. So I wanted men to give me that sense of security that I lacked as a child. But I kept picking the wrong ones. I kept picking the wrong guys. Partly because I was scared of being with the right guys, but also because I didn't value myself enough. I was engaged in a cycle of dysfunctional relationship patterns. So did you have a secure base? How secure was your base? Did you pick up crutches to help you navigate the world? Are you still using them? And is an unhealthy relationship, is that one of your crutches? So this is why, it's so important to have healthy foundations, because without that secure base, without a secure inner base, we'll keep getting into a mess with our relationships, as I did until my 40s. But having a secure base means that we can date with courage, confidence and clarity, which is the name I've given to my second How to Fall in Love course. So having a secure base means that we believe in ourselves, we trust in the world, we trust that we are enough, we trust that the right person will be there for us, we trust that we don't need to compromise ourselves, that we don't need to settle, that we don't need to accept less than we deserve. So we trust. So how do we build a secure base? How do we build a secure base? If you have any ideas, please type them in the chat box. I'm going to run through some ideas for you now. I'm just going to check the time, see how we're doing. Okay, we're doing okay. How do we build a secure base? Well, I'm going to go back to my image of the tree. So we talked about the spindly tree waving around in the wind and not able to stand firm and very susceptible to other people's opinions, to being criticized, to being judged, to being liked, to being loved. If we go out there saying, love me, please love me, then we're going to attract all manner of people who aren't going to be able to love us because they will take advantage of our vulnerability. They will see us as really needy people. We will be unhealthy and we will attract an unhealthy person. The beauty of doing this work, of strengthening our relationship with ourselves, of building our foundations, of creating our own secure base, is that we start to attract healthy people. Because we are healthy, we start to attract healthy people, emotionally available people, people who are willing to commit to us, people who are consistent, who aren't flaky, who will show up, who will commit, who will propose marriage, or who will be willing to marry. Those people will show up for us. So the tree. So the tree that's all over the place, I often think about the feather in the wind as well. So there's a feather in the wind getting blown about all over the place. And then the opposite of that is a healthy oak tree, or whatever tree is your favorite tree. But imagine a really solid, rooted, grounded, secure tree with a really wide trunk. So this tree is mature, it has developed, it has healthy roots, it is well grounded, it is well rooted. And also it's well nourished, so it receives everything it needs in terms of water and food and all those things on the hierarchy of needs, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So our security is taken care of, and our sense of community and all those things. So we are well rooted, well grounded, we are well taken care of, well nourished. We've got plenty of fresh air, and we stand tall and strong. We're not buffeted, so we're not shaken. We don't fall over when the breeze picks up. We're not susceptible to other people's judgments or criticisms, and we're not craving. We don't have a big hole inside of us. We have a really solid trunk. So in the addiction recovery circles in which I am familiar, we talk about the hole in the soul. The hole in the soul, just like imagining a tree with a really empty trunk. And when we have a hole in the soul, we'll be desperate to fill that hole with whatever we can. So for me, sugar, food, alcohol, love, sex, adrenaline, work, status, career, all those things. I'll keep trying to fill that hole. And you know what? It doesn't touch the sides. Despite never being hugely overweight, I was a couple of stone heavier than I am now. But despite being never hugely overweight, I could eat huge amounts of food because the food didn't touch the sides, because I wasn't filling my stomach. I was trying to fill this empty hole inside. So I was like a bottomless pit. And that will happen with love and dating and relationships too. We'll keep trying to fill the hole, and it's like a bottomless pit, and nothing will be enough. So we need to fill it from the inside out. And that's how we build our healthy foundations. So this is self-care, self-love, self-affirmation, getting all the basics. So fresh air, exercise, time outdoors, sunshine, difficult in the winter in England, but sunshine, getting all the things that we need, and also creating, putting our roots down. So being part of something, being part of a community, being part of a group. And that's why I absolutely love doing the group work in my courses. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But all the work that I have done to heal myself from my dysfunctional relationship patterns and all my disorderly eating and all those things has been with other people in groups. So that's why I love running my group courses and my retreats. So there's a huge power in working with other people. We don't feel alone. We learn from them. We're inspired by them. We get strength from them. So do you have a community? Do you have a group? So that's another way to build our foundations. I have a free Facebook group, Being Real, Becoming Whole. I also have my courses that I'll talk about. So how can you connect to a community? How can you feel supported? And you deserve it. You are worth it. And some of us end up being quite good at isolating, at cutting ourselves off, perhaps because we're afraid of rejection, of abandonment. But if we can push through that and go out there and connect with people, that will really help with our foundations. So another thing that's really helped me to build my foundations, something that I am terrible at, I confess, but something that I try to do is meditation. So connecting to my soul, my spirit, my intuition, just like we did at the very start of this call, just a few minutes, hand on heart. How am I feeling? Or you can try a guided meditation, on YouTube, mindfulness app. I like Insight Timer, Headspace app. And, you know, if you struggle to do this too, you're not alone. You're not alone. And as I say in my book, it's often the women and men who need to meditate, who really need to meditate. We're the ones who absolutely struggle to do it, who find it the hardest. So I would encourage you to give that a go, to give daily meditation a go. So self-love, self-care, getting all your needs met. And to do so, you will need really healthy boundaries, because, you know, if you're busy at work or you're caring for other people, you have a busy life, it's too easy to give away too much and not to hold on to our energy. So you'll need some good boundaries for that, which is also something I cover in one of my courses and in my book, setting healthy boundaries. So, you know, we're at the start of a year, we're at the start of January, and I would like you to think about how you can build your healthy foundation. If you feel like you have a hole in the soul, how can you fill that up? Now, you might need to do some work. You might need to do some deep work on yourself. You might need to do some self-awareness raising. I'd be very happy to do that with you as a group or one-to-one. You might need to do some work on yourself to understand why you have the hole in your soul, or why you have a craving for love and affection. So how can you meet your own needs? Something I often talk about so one thing that we get from our relationship is touch. We get that physical contact and connection to someone else. Now, if we are craving that, if we haven't had that for a long time, so from my experience, we're going to end up in trouble. So, you know, in my earlier years, I was craving touch, I was craving love, I was craving affection, which meant that I got into relationships too quickly. I got physical too quickly. And once I got physical, I couldn't get out. I felt stuck. I felt like I was in a relationship, committed to that person. I couldn't get out. So how can you meet your own need for touch? So I often suggest going for massage and when I went for massages in the past, when I hadn't been touched for ages, it just made me cry. It really melted me, because I was so hard and so busy and so fast all the time. So slowing down and allowing someone else to touch me gently, that was so important. You might need to ask for a hug from a friend, from someone safe. How can you build that into your life? How can you build that connection into your life? So how else can you build your healthy foundations? How else can you build your healthy foundations? Often we need to let go of some of the things that we're holding on to. Often we need to let go of some of our patterns. Often we need to let go of our exes, our dreams of what hasn't happened. And there's some great exercises in my book on letting go, and also on my How to Fall in Love courses. So I'd love to just hear from you, just if somebody could be kind enough to say hello and that you're still with me, and then I'll move on. I'm just checking the time. Yep, thank you. So I'm just going to challenge you gently to come up with 3 things that you can do in the next, let's say the next 2 weeks. 3 things that you can do in the next week, actually, I'm going to put it to a week, that you can do in the next week to strengthen your foundations. So meditation, outdoor exercise, community, connection to other people, book a massage, do some grounding exercises. So going outdoors and standing on the grass is fantastic. Getting your feet wet on the soil. I live by the beach, so I love feeling the sand. It connects me to the earth. You might need to explore your unhealthy relationship patterns. You might need to explore your lack of a secure base. you might need to explore where all this comes from. And if you'd like to do that, then stay on and I'll let you know about my free discovery calls, because I can help you to talk through some of those things. But you might need to make a commitment to yourself to do some healing work. And that could be with me, or it could be with someone else. So that could be something that you need to look at in the next week. Other steps that you could take, yeah, you could really get in touch with anything that you're hanging on to that you need to let go of, so that you can clear the decks and so that you can focus on yourself. Often our energy goes out to other places, to other people, and often we need to bring that back in to ourselves. And I say that to myself as much as I do to you. So yeah, as we build our foundations, it's an inner job and an outer job. So we step inside and we build up the inner foundations, and we give ourselves all those things that we didn't get when we were children, perhaps. So affirmation, validation. Now, we can never fix what we didn't get. We can never get what we didn't get from those people. And that's one of the problems. We keep looking for love in all the wrong places. We look for people who remind us of our mothers or fathers, and I'll talk about this in the Changing Patterns webinar. But we look for these people, and then we assign qualities to them, and we look for affirmation and validation from them. But they can't fix what we didn't get. Only we can fix that for ourselves. So I talk about, the inner child, the child inside, and how to heal and reassure and reaffirm that child, that you are loved, that you are wanted, that you are good enough, that you are worthy, that you are safe, that you are loved. So you might want to write out some affirmations for yourself. But affirmations is one thing, and the other thing is the action. So doing your affirmations is really important. I am enough, I'm good enough. But if you're not acting in a way that shows that you believe that, then it won't be worth anything. So if I am telling myself that I value myself and I love myself and I accept myself, am I behaving in that way, or am I running myself into the ground? Am I eating unhealthy food? Am I saying yes when I mean no, or vice versa? Am I actually living true to that affirmation? Am I living true to that affirmation? So come up with a few things that you can do in the next week to build your healthy foundation. And one of them could be to book a discovery call with me. So I'm just going to tell you briefly about some of the courses I have on offer, and then I'm going to invite some questions, which can be on the chat, or they can be by unmuting yourself, knowing that you're being recorded, and then I'm going to invite anyone who wants to stay on to hear some more about those courses and retreats and the discovery call, and the link to the call. I'll show you that. I'll put that in the chat in a moment. So I'm just going to share my screen and let you know what I've got going on. This is my flagship How to Fall in Love course, and it starts on January the 20th. I have 8 places left. It's for women only, so sorry if you're male. I will be doing some group things in the future, some mixed things in the future. But this is group work, and it's really, really important. And this course is transformational. You can read the reviews. I'll put these links in an email to you. I'll put them in the chat also. So I have my How to Fall in Love course, and I understand that this is a good sized investment. It includes a one-to-one call with me. That's in addition to the free discovery call. It includes a one-to-one session with me and 6 group coaching calls and wonderful transformative content. I have lots of other courses. So I have this course on special offer right now for £39. Reconnect with your true self. It's usually £59. Don't worry about the number of lessons above these courses, because the way the platform works, it counts everything like, hello, it's Wednesday, as a lesson. So don't worry about that. It's entirely manageable. And it's also really good. It's also really good and rich. So I'm going to tell you about that a bit more in a moment. And then I've got my wonderful love retreat in Dorset, 28th of March to 28th of Feb till March the 2nd. I've only got, I've got 4 places left. And then we're going to Turkey again at the end of October. Limited places on that as well. So I'm going to move to Q&A for a moment, and let me just go back to full screen. So I'm going to invite you to ask some questions, which you can do in the chat privately to me, or you can do that by unmuting yourself, but you are being recorded. And then I'll move you, if there are no questions, I'll just go on and explain how you can sign up to a free discovery call with me. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your questions. These webinars are, you know, sometimes I know that you're there, but, and I know there's lots of people will be watching on catch up, because not everyone can make the time, but sometimes it feels like, you know, you're talking into a black hole. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And if there aren't any, I'll just leave you for a minute. If there aren't any, I will move on to explain more about those things that I've got coming up, and how you can, how you can get in touch and arrange a free call, a free discovery call. Okay, I'm gonna, feel free to ask a question at any point. I'm just gonna go on to tell you a little bit more about what I have going on, and how I might be able to help you. I would love to help you. You know, it's the new year, it's a new decade, and you know, we did that exercise at the beginning about how important is this area of your life to you. How much do you want to change your relationship status, starting with your relationship with yourself? How much do you want to be in love by this time next year? How important is that to you? And yeah, often we have, you know, we have to make trade-offs. We have to make difficult choices when we prioritize what we need and want. Before I go on, I just want to remind you, if you're not aware already, that I have a Create Your 2020 Vision and Design Your Dream Decade workbook, which I'm just gonna, I'll put that in a follow-up email, but I can probably just put that in the chat in a moment. I'll show you that in a moment. But yeah, the power of group work. I was just going to say something about the power of group work. As I said, I've done so much of my healing. I've done lots of one-to-one support as well, but I have done so much of my healing in groups. There is magic. That's the thing about my retreat, magic. I always say magic happens on my retreats. So let me explain a little bit more, just briefly, about what I've got going on, and then I'll show you a couple of links. Share screen again. And I think I can still access the chat. Yes. So just a little more about this course. So this is a 5-week course. The group coaching calls happen over Zoom like this. There will be a maximum of 10, probably less, women on the calls, probably something like 5 or 6. So you have lots of one-to-one support from me in the group coaching calls. If you can't make the call, they will be recorded. So this is for you if you really want to supercharge your relationship with yourself in order to form a relationship with someone else this year. We start on Monday, January the 20th. It runs for 5 weeks. You can access the free preview videos. You can just click here, and you can see the videos. I'll just wait till it pops up. So there's lots of really powerful, insightful video content. And then there's 5 weeks. Step inside. So connect to yourself, to your true feelings, to your intuition, to your truth. Strengthen your core, which is about building up our self-esteem and our self-confidence and our sense of self. Getting really grounded and rooted. Identify your unhealthy patterns. This week is incredible. This has been life-changing for me, understanding my unhealthy patterns and then doing things differently. It has absolutely turned around my relationships. So I was single at 42, and then I committed at 43, and we bought this house. We got married 6 months ago. And, you know, it came down to doing these steps. That's what made the difference for me. Do things differently, yeah, changing our patterns and then letting go. So this explains what you'll do. You can have a really good look at this. I'll put the link in the chat in a moment. This explains what's going on. And then, you know, I've had some wonderful feedback. The course is exceptional. Just going to these last 2 comments. So I have found the course to be incredibly powerful in changing my mindset and attitude. I feel like I'm in an entirely different place to where I was a month ago, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And a really wonderful, powerful experience, positive experience. I feel much calmer, much stronger, and much less panicky. This course teaches you to be strong and resilient and to source your own happiness so that you are ready to meet someone. I am more aware of my attitudes and feel more positive and confident about who I am and about what I want from somebody and what I don't want from somebody. So there's an opportunity to pay into, there's a photo of my wedding. There's an opportunity to pay into 2 installments. And if you need to look at further installments, please get in touch. So that's the group course. And, you know, there is an incredible power in working in a group. So if you have any questions, book on my book on the call I'm about to offer. Even if you're not interested in the course, I'd love to help you to work out where you are and what steps you might need to take. As I say, I have these other courses, so you can take that course as a self-paced course for £295. You're welcome to take that on your own. I mean, I absolutely champion group work, but somebody has just worked through this course on her own, and she said it's been really powerful and has really changed things for her. So it can work on your own as well. And then there's the mini course. This is actually step 1 of the bigger course. So if you'd like to take that, please take a look. And then this is another course that will be starting in March. Date with courage, clarity, and confidence. That's for anyone who has done some of this work already, some of the deeper work with me, maybe been on a retreat or been on a course. And just to show you inside the course platform, this is what it looks like. You've got your videos, you've got your exercises, you've got your PDFs, and you get prompts every morning. As you sign into the course, you get prompts, and then you get to work through these exercises. And then we have our group, Facebook group, where we chat and talk about what's going on. And then we have our group calls every Monday. So have a look at that, and let me know if you're interested. And then my Dorset Love Retreat. Oops, clicked on the wrong thing. My love retreat happens February the 28th here in Dorset. I have 4 places left. So three residential places. So 3 rooms, with 2 beds in a twin and 1 solo room. And I also have 1 non-residential place. And then I'm just checking that that I thought I'd switched everybody off then. Have I stopped sharing my screen? Maybe I have. Okay, I'll do that again, sorry. And then, yeah, I just want to show you Turkey, because this is amazing. This is us doing yoga, yoga poses at moonlight after bathing in mud baths and jumping into a lake, and you know, swimming and snorkeling and all this, plus personal development, love yourself, change your relationship patterns, learn to find love, yoga, challenging ourselves. I am not a yogi at all, but I did a headstand with the help of the wonderful Jane Morgan-Jones. Boat trips, so 3 magical boat trips. This is our treehouse where we gather to do our personal development work together. And I'm smiling because we had an absolutely fantastic time. Let me just see, a wonderful week of feeling nurtured and supported in the glorious, sunny, beautiful environment of Dalyan in Turkey. So a really wonderful, refreshing, relaxing time. So I hope, yeah, I hope that's of interest to somebody here. So I'm just going to put these in the chat. This is going to challenge my technical abilities. So if I put this, I think I can go to the chat here. Yeah. And I'll try and, how do I chat to everyone? Everyone publicly. I don't know how, just bear with me a moment while I work out how to chat to you all. If I close that down. Just going to stop share for a moment. Chat. Go back to full screen. Chat. So this happened last time I started. Everyone. There we go. So this, you can watch some free previews to that that course. No need to join, or just watch the free previews and see if it's for you. And then I just want to share also, I have to move that out of the way, my various other courses. There you go. And yeah, and then the Love Retreat Dorset. I've got another retreat in May in Dorset also. That's especially for people who have already done a course with me, a retreat with me, or some work with me, because it's kind of a level 2 retreat, 1st of May, also in Dorset. And then here's the Turkey thing, more than a thing. So if you would like to book a free discovery call with me, this is what you need to do. Here is the link. I'm going to put that in the box. And this will also be in your email, so you can have a look at that. Hopefully all those links are separate rather than all joined up as one. I'll just type that in again, to book a call. So I have quite a lot of spaces tomorrow. I've cleared my diary for tomorrow. So you click on here, Discovery Call. It's free. You click Katherine and you choose your time. So they're 30 minutes long. I have lots of spaces tomorrow. Not so many on Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday busy, but I have some on Monday and Tuesday, etc., etc. Up until, let me just have a look, up until the 17th. So for this week and next week, these calls are available. After that, I'm going to be busy running my How to Fall in Love course. So if you'd like to book a discovery call, please do that. No, you know, this is for you to tell me where you're at, and I will hear you. I will offer some suggestions. I will tell you more about what I have on offer if you are interested. And I will direct you perhaps to other sources that might be able to help. So book in one of those calls if you'd like to. So once you've booked, your number will come through to me and I will call you at the allotted time. So I hope to speak to some of you for those 30-minute calls. So just wondering if you have any questions or if there's anything else I need to tell you. Yeah, I also offer one-to-one coaching. My one-to-one coaching diary is filling up. So if you are interested in any one-to-one coaching this year, or early this year, at least later in the year, I'll be all right. But if you're interested early this year, please book one of those discovery calls and we can have a chat about that. Yeah, anything else I need to tell you? I need to remind you to take those steps. If any of you would like to share in the group chat or in the private chat, any steps that you might have decided to take to grow your healthy foundations, then please let me know. I'd love a little bit of feedback. Otherwise I might start, yeah, I'm going to be here for another 5 minutes, another 7 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap up. But if you have any more thoughts about the steps that you'd like to take. I know what I was going to do. I was going to tell you about my 2020 vision workbook. I'll give you that link also. If you're already on my list, my mailing list, you will have this link already. But that is a workbook to help you to identify your goals and dreams for 2020. They may be for a relationship, they may be for a career change, they may be to move to the sea, they may be for an adventure. So to identify your heartfelt goals and dreams for the year and for the decade. And I also have a free Deconstruct Your Decade workbook that you will find via the same link, or if you're in my Facebook group, which I'm also going to link to for you. It's free and it's called Being Real, Becoming Whole. There it is. So if you're in my Facebook group, you will get lots of updates about everything that's going on. And if you sign up anywhere on my website, so katherinebaldwin.com or howtofallinlove.co.uk, you will receive a download of the first chapter of my book, How to Fall in Love. So there's lots of free resources. The other thing I haven't mentioned is my Love Ladies community. I've been a bit quiet about this because I've got so much going on, but I'm ready to grow this community. So this is a small group of women. There's a small fee every month. That fee is actually on offer right now, so do get in touch if you're interested. Small group of women. We have a private secret Facebook group. All the women are looking for love, looking to date, and we encourage each other. I share some tips. I talk about the things that might help. We brainstorm ideas about where to meet people, how to meet people, and you post your dating dilemmas and I answer them, and we have a group call once a month. So if that's of interest, there's a small monthly fee to join the Love Ladies community. So yeah, I'm only talking because there's no questions, but I'd love to hear your questions. And I'm just gonna stop the share now and do my full screen. There we go. So thank you, Roz, Roz says that she recommends the Deconstruct Your Decade workbook. I've done it and shared it with my counsellor. Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. So yeah, that is, click here, 2020 Vision, and you will find links to both those workbooks, Deconstruct Your Decade and also 2020 Vision. And I deconstructed my decade, and you can read about that on my blog, which I'll type here. So I had quite a, I always think I'm not brilliant at setting goals and making things happen. And then I look back at my decade and I thought, wow, I mean, there were some struggles. So depression, grief, feeling totally lost in my career, having given up my really high pressured journalism job, reporting in Parliament, traveling with the Prime Minister, really exhausted and burnt out, broke down, trying to find my way, not sure where I was going. I'd lost my dad just before the decade started, ended a relationship, a brief one, because I couldn't have long relationships. And I was sad, I was lost, I was lonely for some of that time. And then lots of things changed because I prioritized myself and my relationship with myself, and I understood where I was going wrong. I got lots of help. I got lots of group help and lots of individual help. So yeah, I changed my career. I launched a coaching practice. I published my How to Fall in Love book, started writing some other books. I moved to the coast, left London, moved to the seaside, fell in love with my partner, got engaged up a mountain, and got married 6 months ago. So it was quite a decade, and last year was quite a year. And as I have said and written in the workbook, the 2020 workbook, the next decade is just as massive. I want it to be just as big because I'm 48, I'll be 58. I would like to have published some books, some more books. I want to be feeling much more free and much more abundant. And I'd like to be doing more travel with my husband. I'd like a dog. I'd like to really be loving all of my life, which might be a lot to ask, but it's worth it. It's worth fighting for. So I hope that you believe that your life and your dreams are worth fighting for. And I'm gonna check the time. I'll be here for one more minute. And if I forgot to say that if you can't make any of the times that I have offered on my calendar, drop me an email at katherinebaldwin.com, and I'll see what I can do. See if I can arrange a different time for us to have a discovery call. Okay, well, thanks so much for watching. Thank you. Thank you for your thank yous, those of you who are popping a private note in the chat. And don't forget, oh, one more thing. I always do this. I've always got loads of things to say at the end. Don't forget that there were 2 more webinars going on. So on Sunday, fears and patterns. So facing your fears, changing your patterns. And on Thursday is change your dating dynamic. And you can find all the details. You should have the details. If you're on my mailing list, you will have received them a few times. If you're in my Facebook group, you'll have them. But they are on, yeah, just go to katherinebaldwin.com or this website, and you will find where to click on the other fallinlove.co.uk. Oh, sorry, it's going to everyone. Okay. So yeah, Sunday fears and patterns. Sorry, just going to do this. Sunday fears and patterns. Thursday dating dynamic. That's Thursday of next week. Okay, thanks everyone. I'll just pause for a moment. I'm going to stop talking. If you have anything you'd like to say, drop me an email, say goodbye. It's always nice for people to say goodbye. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Hopefully you can make it on Sunday. Sunday is at 4 o'clock. So I'm trying to time webinars so that they suit people who work full time. Yeah, thank you. So that they, if people work good full time, they can make the webinars, and also people are in different countries. So thank you so much. Yeah, people are in different countries. So yeah, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you all again, hopefully Sunday, or on Thursday of next week, or on the 2020 Vision webinar, which is the following Tuesday. So just it's all on my website. So thanks everyone, and I'm just going to say thank you everyone. Goodbye. See you soon. Bye.